And I had this deep feeling that I could potentially create something that would be bigger than anything anyone else could ever hire me to do. And I think what went in my favor was that that's when the gig economy really started getting so popular, and the power kind of shifted into the employee's hand and the freelancer's hand.
Hello and welcome. I am happy you're tuning in today. Today we talk about Ioana Wilkinson. She's my guest today, and she will share her exciting story and journey, how she went from being a teacher to a digital nomad mom, and how she built location independence through freelance writing. I discovered Ioana on Instagram, and I was so curious how she built such a successful freelance writing business. Ioana shared so many interesting bits and pieces about how she built the business, but not just that, how she developed it, how she scaled it, how she automated her freelance writing business. And before these conversations, you never really know how long the conversation's going to be and how you're going to connect with the other person. And once in a while, something like today happens. We get together and we end up speaking for almost 2 hours. And it was such a touching and beautiful conversation, because we don't just speak about how Ioana built this business, but also what happens when you make God your business partner. So today we talk about that, but also how you trust your inner voice when it's telling you to make a major life change, even when it seems crazy to everyone else. We talk about the traditional safe path and why that actually might be the riskiest choice for your soul, and how she replaced her teaching income within months of freelance writing. We talk about how to build an amazing business that travels with you in your suitcase, that you can work from anywhere, anytime. And she shares real practical strategies how to do that for yourself. We talk about, of course, AI and how it's changing, the freelance and creative world at the moment. But spoiler alert, it's actually creating more opportunities and not fewer. So get excited for today's episode. It's been such a wonderful conversation speaking with Ioana. We will separate the episodes into 2 parts. This is episode number 1, because we've spoken for almost 2 hours. Of course, we can't put it all in one episode. Enjoy number 1, and I'm very happy that you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome to Mama What's Next, a podcast for all the amazing women navigating the wonderful challenges of exploring a new version of yourself after becoming a mom. I'm your host, Melly, and together with my incredible guests, I'm here to help you explore who you are now and help guide you to your true path, one that feels authentic and fulfilling at the same time. Motherhood changes everything, yes. It's beautiful, transformative, and sometimes it pulls us away from the woman we were. Together we dive into career change stories and how to live a life that truly reflects who we are, without guilt and with the courage to embrace your journey. So get yourself a coffee, steal a moment for yourself, and let's explore this next chapter of your life. I am super happy that you're here. Welcome. Hello and welcome, Ioana. I'm really happy that you're here with me today. Thank you for taking the time to speak to Mama What's Next and to our beautiful listeners. I have discovered you on Instagram, which I'm really happy about, because I love to feature, moms and their career journeys and how they found a career path for them that makes them really happy and fulfilled and excited. And I got the feeling that that's exactly what you're doing right now. And yes, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Melly. Yes, I love my work. I feel so grateful every day.
Yes. Well, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and what you have, where you've come from. You live in Spain at the moment. That's how we connected as well.
I do.
And yes, so you live near Barcelona.
Yes.
And I would like to just understand, how did you make your way to Barcelona,
Mhm.
and what brought you here, and how did you find your way into the writing and, SEO optimization space? And
Mhm.
yes, just your journey, and take us through it.
Okay, amazing. So I'm originally from Transylvania, Romania, and I grew up in Texas. And I got the travel bug itch very, very early. And when I bought my house when I was 21, I immediately felt like this ick. Like, I don't want this. I don't want to live in Texas. I don't want to live in the suburbs. I've got to get out of here. And so for the next 5 years, I just kind of like dreamed about that and planned it out with my husband and started thinking, like, what could that look like? So we decided we were going to teach English. So we sold our house 5 years later. We were 26, and we left to Barcelona, Spain with just one suitcase for me and him and our little dog. Got to Spain, taught for 5 years. It was absolutely amazing. But then COVID hit. So, everything started plummeting as far as like our teaching classes. Because it's academy based, it's not something that the kids have to do. It's more like an extracurricular. And we had adults as well, but with the pandemic, they just decided to start dropping classes. So that was happening left and right. And that's when I also became pregnant. So as like one of the head teachers of the academy and a baby on the way, I just had no idea of like how I was going to provide. And so then I started hearing about like freelance writing. I had a couple friends in a couple Barcelona groups that were doing it. And I thought, oh, that's probably just something you do for a little extra money. It can't be anything like too serious. Well, then I realized that that wasn't true at all. There's like this huge world of content writing and SEO. And so I thought, okay, well, this is perfect. I can go online, support my kiddo, have flexibility. And I've always written since I was a little girl. I've loved to write. I used to run a photography business as well for 10 years. So I was used to like marketing and creating and project-based work. I also did lots of marketing for the academy. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to take a course, see how this goes, build a portfolio. And it was funny. I remember like my big pregnant belly, like on my terrace in Spain, like writing my portfolio completely intuitively. Like I did not plan it out like I teach my students to now. So just completely intuitively wrote it out. And then like literally within like 2 weeks of publishing it and starting to apply, I started getting gigs. And within just a few months, I replaced my teaching income. And then a couple months after that, I was able to retire my husband from teaching. And so he was able to, by that point, we had our child, her name's Rosie. And so he was able to take on a lot of just like the logistical stuff with her so that I could build. But we were always just us three, our little triangle family, like in the apartment in Spain, trying to figure this writing thing out. But then we decided, like, let's let our family like get to see our little one. So we flew to Texas for a bit. Then we moved to Mexico. Then we moved to Oklahoma. Then I missed Spain dearly. He missed Spain dearly. So we had to fly back. And here we are by the sea.
Why did you miss Spain so much?
it's oh my gosh, it's an obsession, I think.
What is it that you love so much about it?
Oh, the nature, the culture, everything's slow paced. They have such a good like work-life balance, in my opinion. A whole month off in August, 3-day weekends, siestas. I mean, at least in my village, like people take their fiestas. They take their nap, they go have lunch with mom, they go and pick up their kid and bring him home for lunch. It's just a totally different, flexible, freedom focused lifestyle here.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think I always watch with like a little smirk when I hear Germans walking around, and sometimes they complain when they come to visit.
Oh, yeah.
And they complain about things not being so efficient or things taking a long time. And I'm thinking to myself, well, welcome to Spain. This is the beautiful thing here.
Yeah.
That people just live at a different pace, and it's a different rhythm and different priorities. And when you come here, that's what you come here for, right?
Yeah.
And the nature, and the people are so warm-hearted and gentle and caring. But yes, at the same time, sometimes things take time. So that's the other side. But it's beautiful that you're so happy here and you found such a beautiful home here.
Thank you. Thank you. The bureaucracy part's not the easiest, but it's worth it.
I know. My car is meant to be registered here since January, and we are going into June now, and we're still not through. So,
I know. And then guess what? Then you get a ticket. Then you get a fine about it.
No, well, that's the thing, right? It's like I've called them, and they're like, well, it's still at the center of traffic. And I'm like, okay. It's like, why is it taking, in Germany, this takes 2 days.
Right.
And we say the German part. I think Australia is much more efficient. You just go to the office, it's done, bang. Switzerland, well, that's the most efficient out of all of them, but it's just crazy, But you've got to take the good with the bad with the good, I guess, the opposite way.
For sure. After living in Spain and Mexico, so it was like Spain 5 years, Mexico 1 year, and going to Oklahoma for a year and a half, I loved how easy it was to just start in Oklahoma. Like everything was just so easy and fast, convenient, everything I needed on my door whenever I wanted, felt like a queen. But after like 6 months of that, I was like, oh, this is it? Just convenience and strip malls and consumerism, not to be too negative, it's just, I know some people love Oklahoma. It's just different when you live where you can walk your kid to school, where you don't have to worry about gun violence in school, where you can go to the beach with your kiddo after school. That's amazing. Or get gelato, or I don't know. And it's a lot more accessible, I think, than people may think. The only problem is that you have to be willing to go through lots of challenges to get there. And that's the part where people are like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to go get the visa. I don't know if I want to move everything and save the money, and which is fair. But if you're a traveler like me, or you have a travel soul like me, like there's no other option but to do it. So
yes, I'm totally with you there. I totally agree. I feel exactly the same. I've lived in different places, and I think this is like the only other place besides Australia, where I used to live a long time, that I feel really home now. So, which has a lot to do, like not just the ocean, but it has a lot to do with the people and the energy of the place, I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
For me. So
I totally agree. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have 30 parents in our WhatsApp group for our daughter's school. And every single week, there's at least 2 to 4 things where people are like, y'all want to go to the park right now? Y'all want to go get a gelato right now? You want to go to the beach right now? Who wants to come over to our house to eat barbecue? The community aspect that people crave a lot in the States. They're craving this so badly in the States and other places as well. But you get that here. That ticks that box. So sometimes it's like, oh no, wait, I didn't put my makeup on and Javier's right there. I'm going to take that street. Or I'm running late. I can't see Marta right now. I got to go. But besides that, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's the community aspect. I think I totally agree with you on that. I always say it really compares to Sydney, where I used to live. Like it's got the same amazing community feeling.
Oh, beautiful.
And it has I don't know how it is for you, like where you live now, and you're in like a smaller village, I understand. And here where I live is very international, and I love that. Like it's very mixed together with Spanish locals,
Yeah.
but it's very international and it's like a little melting pot. And I used to have that in Sydney, and I really love that. So
Oh,
so
beautiful.
like you get to experience all these little bits and pieces when people, like you said, they put on barbecues and you go
Yeah.
invited and you get all these different experiences. It's beautiful.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I have to go check out Australia, New Zealand. I haven't been out that way yet.
Oh yeah, you gotta pack some time.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Maybe I could dedicate a whole year. That'd be so
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. Well, for you, like work wise, it's really cool because obviously you can work from anywhere really. When
Mhm.
you said earlier, once you started to look for work, with the writing business, you felt it was really easy. Did you just pitch like companies independently, or how did you approach it, or did you go after like jobs that they had, advertised? Because people always ask me, and I, from my experience, I mean, we've used different techniques. Like you can
Mhm.
also look when companies advertise for certain things and just pitch yourself for freelance at the
Mhm.
same time. And sometimes that actually works out. How did you approach that when you started?
Yeah, so I always teach my students, both in my course and in coaching, that they can totally do both. And I lay out all the different techniques. But for me, it was very interesting. I just applied for jobs that were already posted. This is what's so cool too about freelance writing is that you don't have to pitch unless you want to, or let's say there's a brand that you would really love to write for. By all means, pitch to them. You never know. Like, don't think that they won't hire you. You never know. You may as well try. But I really love using win probability to my advantage, which is what I teach a lot in my all in system, which is basically where you respond to people that already need work. Because I feel like it cuts a lot of that time. Cold pitching can be great. It can help you land really fat accounts in some industries and in some cases, but you never know, right? You just keep shooting your shot, hoping that they'll say, yeah, that's a great idea. I would love for you to do a test article for me, and then we'll take it from there. Again, it does work, but for me, I've always found that I find clients faster by responding to jobs that are already available. And a lot of these are on LinkedIn. There are also other forums and different ways of finding jobs that I teach clients in my course and in one-on-one mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
But LinkedIn is a great like go-to for anyone that like maybe they don't have the time to work with someone, or they don't want to work with someone, or they don't have the money to work with someone. LinkedIn is a fantastic place. And you can filter also by easily apply, which is something I highly recommend because that helps you get through applications faster. Some applications can take 30 minutes to an hour with all their little personality quizzes and stuff, which I find ridiculous.
Mm.
But if you go
Yes.
to the easily apply ones, you can put in a lot more applications faster. And I really think that that is huge as far as win probability goes. The more you put in, the more likelihood you have of getting a yes.
I would agree. I would agree with LinkedIn being a good option. What I have also found in the past applying for jobs that are already out there, and then at the same time reaching out to a hiring manager and just connecting with them, alerting them that you've sent something. And I found that was a really good option because sometimes you just, I've had 2 years of recruiting experience now. I've
Mm-hmm.
worked as a recruiter, and things just get lost. Like
Yes.
when sometimes they don't, you don't have time to hire, and they just kind of throw out the job, and as quickly as the applications come in, that's how quickly you have to review them. And if you don't find a way to actually knock on their door somehow at the same time, it's always helpful. I found, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. With your motherhood story, did you have idea of career and career identity and purpose? Did that change at all, like since you've become a mom? Or have you felt like, that's always been my direction and I've always kind of like, walked that path and nothing else? Or have you felt like there was quite a shift in you?
I was someone that like was in shock for a long time after becoming a mom. It's hard to say that out loud because I know a lot of women want, or I shouldn't say that, but I'm sure many women feel a lot more integrated into motherhood from the get-go. Maybe like it's more, I don't know if they have more, what is that word? Like a maternal instinct than I do, or if I'm just really hyper independent. But you know what it did for me is it lit a fire under me to really make sure that this business can scale and is successful because I want to give her everything. I want her to have everything she could want and more. And I want her to see what it's like to build a business and what it's like for her to build her dream life. So it's taken me years to like realize that I'm a mom, which is so weird to say out loud. But I don't know. I think with any relationship, like you have to like nurture it and you get to know each other over time and you build that connection over time. And so I just kept looking at her like, wait, you're really here? How are you here? And you're such a miracle. And you're like, I don't know. It took a while. It took a while for me to like really like, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a mom, you know, I run my businesses. I got this some days. Other days I'm like, what am I doing? What's happening? But it definitely lit a fire under me. It is the number one motivation that has kept me motivated because it's funny that I've ever had a successful business because it takes me a lot to get anything done. So I really wrestle with actually working, but my internal motivation is so high, which is wild that how that those two connect. But with her, it's like, no, there's no option. Like she deserves the best. So I'm going to do whatever I can on my end to make sure that that happens. So yeah, it's actually made me lean more into the identity of business owner, but also into the identity of like, I would love to show her and other young girls and other women how to do this and how to live life on their terms, how to build that freedom, that flexibility, because they totally can with some strategies and intentions in place.
That sounds amazing. So it's about being the role model that we would have wished to have as well, and the role model we now want to be for our children, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I think that's a big driver for me as well. Like we strive so much to create that success in whatever, whatever terms that may be in the end. But to create that version of ourselves that can be that hero, that role model for our child. And I think that's just, really, really beautiful. And, like with what you said, I can relate somewhat also because like personally, like I didn't really plan to have a child when I had my baby. It was just a surprise, and it came at a time that was very, unfortunate at the time, and it took me a while to also realize, what's the kind of path that I'm taking now, because I was very, very scared of the freedom being taken away from me, like equally to like that's why I resonate so much with your words. You mentioned that the travel, the freedom, and I was so scared. I remember sitting in an office at a Pro Familia consultation in Germany. You have to do that. Switzerland also a little bit. So you sit there and you just get advice on what's the best path for you. Are you ready? And to be sure that you're ready. And I remember saying to her, I'm so scared of my freedom being taken away. Will I still be able to travel? Will I still be able to live in different countries? Can I go for different roles, different jobs? And it is like almost a panic inside. And there was in front of me, there was this young girl. She was, I don't know, 25, 28, sitting in front of me. And I'm thinking like, what's she going to tell me? Like she knows nothing. But like she said, the best possible thing. She was so kind and so gentle, so aware. And she said, listening to all of your stories now and everything you told me, I really believe everything. Like you choose that path or you choose that path, you're going to be fine. And then she started telling me these examples of families and how they live a completely different life. And,
Aww.
the stories. And she told me about a family that was, they had their baby and then they set off like 1 year to travel the world.
I love that.
And she said, of course, this is all possible. You can do it alone. You can do it with a partner. You can do it all. You just have to then realize you won't have the perfect baby room for your baby like that everybody else has, because you're going to be traveling and you're going to be doing things, out of the suitcase, but it's all possible.
Sure.
And it just took all that fear away. And you're able to connect, and then you just have your answers. But I can totally relate with you. I think, there are certainly a number of women that go through this where, you need to adjust to that new being, new soul in your life, and that new identity as a mom, and just being, too responsible.
For sure. Yes. That freedom bit is so terrifying for some of us. That was absolutely my biggest fear. I was 30 when I had her. And so I was really grateful that I had my 20s to really explore and do the thing. But still, I mean, same as you, like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to stop traveling. I know so many people in Texas were like, okay, so you're going to come and do the Texan suburb thing again, right? And I'm like, no, just because I have a baby? No. So her first year was in Spain. Her second year was in Mexico. Her third year was in Oklahoma. And now her fourth year is in Spain. So she's literally lived all over. and now she's learning Catalan. She's learning Castellano. She's learning Romanian. She speaks amazing English. So that's the other cool thing about traveling with your kids is they get exposure to so many cool cultures and languages and foods and just ways of doing things. And I love that for her. I want her to be like a citizen of the world.
Yes. So it's so beautiful. And I think we're so lucky to be able to give that to them as a gift, that they get to grow up like this in these surroundings with the ability to speak different languages and different cultures, celebrating different cultures. And I'm very appreciative of, of this as well. So yes, very beautiful. You said that really, really beautifully.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, it's Melly from Mama What's Next, and thank you so much for listening today. Did you know we actually have a free membership at mamawhatsnext.com where you can connect with like-minded moms and find tools to help you navigate your next steps with confidence. And if you ever feel like you need a little more personal guidance to help you figure out what comes next for you, I am here to support you one-on-one as well. I know what it's like to feel you've lost yourself, to start from zero in a new country, pivoting and transforming a career. I have done it several times alone as a single mom across 4 countries. And I would love nothing more than helping you rediscover yourself, see your potential, and build a work life that feels aligned with who you truly are. So if that sounds like something you'd love, come and visit me at mamawhatsnext.com. I'd love to hear from you. With your story, did you feel like at some point you were quite scared to take the next step, or was that always like intuitively you felt, you just had that inner knowing that that's the right path for you, or were you at some point kind of like going, oh, maybe it's going to fail, what am I going to do, or was it just done deal and I'm just going to go for it?
It's always both. It's always like intuitive led. Absolutely, this is what I have to do. And also, I'm so scared. And I feel all of the emotions when I'm going to take a risk, like literally scared, happy, sad, mad, surprised, all of them, terrified. Every time I moved abroad to Spain the first time, to Mexico, to Spain again, I was terrified. Every time I create a business. I was terrified. This definitely scared me a lot because I had, been teaching for 5 years. And so when I look back to that time, I feel like I leapt into writing. Like I literally just dove into it with, just absolutely no idea if it would work. I honestly was pretty skeptical, if I'm being honest, because, a couple of the people that I knew that were doing it, I really didn't think they were making that much money. I thought there's no way. This is probably just a little side gig, which it can be. If someone just wants just a little bit, that's fine too. Like not everyone wants a 6-figure or 7-figure, 8-figure business, and that's okay. But I didn't realize that you could make it a 6, 7, or 8-figure business if you wanted to scale. So yeah, but I didn't have a choice. It was COVID. Everything was shutting down. Like there was no other choice. I knew I had to move online. And I had this deep feeling that I could potentially create something that would be bigger than anything anyone else could ever hire me to do. And I think what went in my favor was that that's when the gig economy really started like getting so popular, and the power kind of shifted into the employee's hand and the freelancer's hand online, not in person. So I'm not talking about in-person jobs, online jobs. And so I think that was what really went in my favor. I also went into SaaS and tech writing, which went in my favor because that's when all of these tech apps were coming out for business to business businesses. So for instance, Monday.com was one of like the first unicorn companies that I wrote for via an agency that I was writing with. And they're massive. They're like, $13 billion plus company. But that's when they were like first, like really coming out. They're from Israel, really coming out, really making a big wave. And all these other unicorn companies were coming out. So they would like hire agencies to write literally like 700 articles. So imagine all the writers needed, and that's per unicorn company, right? So imagine how many writers you need, how much work there's needed. So I really got in at like such an awesome time. But now tech is just getting even crazier and scaling even more rapidly than back then. So you don't have to write for tech clients like I do. You can write for all different kinds of businesses. But that's definitely a fantastic market. If someone does have interest in the tech market or software market, it's a great, great market to write for.
Would you recommend generally, like obviously, like you've built this for a little while now, but would you recommend for, women wanting to go into this space, or maybe like they've dabbled a little bit in it and want to explore, like deepening their expertise? Would you recommend for them to choose a category or like an area of expertise like you have with tech companies? Would you recommend that? And also then, because you've mentioned the coaching as well, like obviously you work directly for companies, but you also coach women or people, individuals, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs on it. Like how do you work with them and what do you teach them exactly?
Yeah, so there are pros and cons of niching and not niching. And that really depends on the writer. But, the pro of like having like a varied portfolio is that agencies may feel like you have more vertical expertise because a lot of agencies have clients in a few different buckets. Like maybe they'll have project management clients, IT clients, customer service clients, HR clients, right? And so if you have like a piece on HR, a piece on yoga, a piece on intuition, and a piece on cybersecurity, the cool thing about that is it looks like, okay, you have multiple vertical expertise. You can write about several different things. In the agency space, that's really awesome. Now, on the niche side of things, the benefits of niching is that, you look like an expert on that topic, on that one particular topic, which is important for blogs that need a deeper insight. So like, for instance, if you're writing for if you're writing for a business whose customers are mid-size or enterprise clients, they typically have business owners with a higher, just more experience. And so they need you to go a little bit deeper into those topics. And so in that case, having a niche portfolio like I do now is important. So I landed agency clients from the very beginning, having a varied portfolio. And now more specific tech and SaaS clients reach out to me because of my tech and SaaS portfolio. So either way, pros and cons, you can't go wrong either way, but it depends on you. Like maybe you're someone that you're like, I just want to write about yoga and wellness and movement. I don't want to write about anything else. That's totally fine. You could totally make your portfolio just focused on that. So it just depends. And then, yeah, I have two legs of my business. So I have like a mini content agency where it's just a group of us women. We write content for tech and SaaS brands. We also have a couple of clients that are outside of that space. Like we have a career coach and a couple other coaches that we write content for. But for the most part, it's B2B software as a service and technology clients. And then the second leg of my business is the digital product and coaching side. And that's where, and also consulting if I'm working with a business. But these are just teaching aspiring writers how to build their freelance writing business. And that's up to them how big they want it. Again, if they want, maybe like I've had a student that just needed an extra $1,000 a month. You know, she's a stay-at-home mom, dad's a videographer. She just wants to bring in an extra $1,000 a month. Like have other students that they want to scale, you know, they want to have a little team and they want at least 100K a year. So it just depends on what they want. But that's what I have. I have the agency side and then I have the coaching, consulting, digital product side.
So that it's really good to see because you obviously teach what you have already applied and all right. Your own, you know, structures and processes. And because like I'm really curious about it, even though like, you know, I can write bits and pieces for my blog as well, which I only just started to develop, and I do it also with the podcast content a lot as well now. Mm-hmm. But for example, I had like a mom that I was working with, and you know, like she actually is a writer. And that would be like an interesting question now because, she's a writer, she does some SEO content, also a teacher like you, but teaching background. Cool. With kids. And she's amazing. And she had her own blog that she started to monetize, but everything sort of collapsed with AI now. Like she said, like the search rankings collapsed quite a lot. So she's having trouble monetizing now. The blog itself.
Her blog itself, okay.
Yes, but I'm also thinking like she would be probably your ideal client now to actually get to that point, not to teach as much on, because I think she's taken courses on the writing and the SEO and all that optimization, but to like, how do I actually find work? How do I get the freelance work? How do I build my business? Because she, you know, she's a solo, like she's a solo parent and she's having a tough time. She's in Portugal and Canadian, for example. And she would be someone that really would need that expertise to actually get to that next level, you know, to go from struggling like on the side writing and a little bit of teaching to really getting to a comfortable income level.
Yeah, so she would probably love my all-in system, which is I teach it both in mentorship or in my course. My course, if she already has like her portfolio and everything ready, she could just go to the end of the course. That's where the all-in system is. And it teaches her exactly like where to apply, how often to apply, what days to do. It's very methodological. And it's for a very specific time period. So it's like a business development challenge in a sort. But yeah, it's super practical. I think she would really, really find value in it. That's actually what I'm most proud of with the beta course that I just launched, is that people are getting results a lot sooner than I expected, because I usually say 30 to 60 days. I had one of my students that got results just in a couple weeks. He got a gig and he's like a dad, you know, he lost his job recently. A lot of people find me in transition as well. And so they're usually teachers or photographers or some, you know, they were a stay-at-home mom, you know, they were made redundant and now they're looking for something else. You know, those are the types of people that usually find me. But yeah, you know, what's interesting about AI is that for me, it's actually brought in a lot more work. Like most of my clients actually...
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Most of my clients actually have AI tools. And so they need content to write about their tools. And it's so funny because some of the AI clients I've written for as well have AI writing tools. And so you would think, why would a writer want to write for a company has AI writing tools. Doesn't that mean that those tools are going to replace the writers? No. Never. They never could. It's artificial intelligence, right? So it can help scale certain systems. It can help with patterns, with lists, with outlining, with research, brainstorming, beating writer's block, but it will never be you. It will never have your expertise and the years of experience that you put in. So that's the other cool thing too, is that in this business, you can learn how to use AI to advance instead of, feeling like paralyzed or afraid that it could get in the way of your business. Anyone that says that is fear mongering, or they're a client you wouldn't want to work for anyway.
That is exactly the fear mongering, right? That's the interesting part. Like I always say that, and people do that in the job space as well. Like there's so many people now that have nothing else to do than just scare people. I mean, sometimes you got to wonder, first was the climate crisis and people didn't get scared enough. Now they're scaring everybody about the employment market or trying to. And I mean, it's working. People are running around like little mad chickens, thinking everybody is going to lose the job.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things have always evolved. And sometimes when you read, I'm just reading a book by Daniel Priestley, who's an entrepreneur, and he developed different tools and stuff. And I find him very inspiring. And in the book, he actually writes, he's referencing 2010 and Google and the internet. And if you take away the time, you would they also at the time said we were drowning in content. We didn't have time to consume everything anymore. It was he describes it with the same word. And if you just exchange the time, the year, I think it could be 2025, It's it's so interesting. It's always how people frame these things and how they want to get you in a state of, because if you actually get scared and you're you lose your ability to think clearly and to strategize and to see opportunities, right?
Yes. And this is a part of marketing that's really hard for me because, as a content marketer, one of the top things that we learn, especially when you're writing introductions or hooks, is to use the pain point, agitation, solution framework. Yeah. And it works very well.
Yes.
And it keeps the eye scrolling down the page, right? Which is what SEOs want. They want you to keep going down that page and reading that content. But it is in a sense a fear tactic. And it's hard because it's man, you're almost using manipulation, to grab someone's attention. But at the same time, that's what sales psychology is. And when it comes to sales psychology, it works super fast when you use it in your messaging. And obviously, if you're in sales or business, you want to make money, right? You don't want to write messages that fall flat. So it's hard to find that balance. So then you also have desire marketing, right? So that's where let me speak to your desires. Let me speak to your transformation, the experiences that you want. And that can be less icky, right? Because now it's I don't have to poke your pain to show you a solution to your problem. I can just speak to the transformative result that you want. And so I've been trying to kind of lean more toward that in some of my blog introductions and stuff. But because I write for businesses whose audiences are businesses, what do businesses need? They need problems solved. So that's the other end too, where it's what's not necessarily manipulation. It's also hey, that problem you've been dealing with, I have a solution. It's HR software. It can help do this and this and pay our clients early and all this stuff. So it's difficult to find that line.
Yes, I totally understand. So you do have to figure out a little bit, depending on the audience you're speaking to, I guess, and how evolved are they, and what are you trying to communicate to them, obviously, right? And who's the kind of client or customer you're trying to attract with your messaging.
Yes.
It's
Jamie, the coach that you found me through, she's all about desire marketing. She hates pain point marketing. And she like
Yeah, same.
preaches against it, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes. And it really is. And like just Daniel Priestley, I've been just referencing now, he talks about that in his book as well.
mhm.
It's about, he says, people buy what they want, not what
Mhm.
they need. They
Oh
buy
yeah,
what they
good.
want.
That's good.
Otherwise, you couldn't explain all these purchases that people, where you go, like, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
Why somebody would buy that. And because clearly so many things are overpriced for what they are, and
Mhm.
it's because there's a desire there,
Yes, for sure.
So that's that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, yeah, you're like selling an experience in a sense.
yes, absolutely. What role do you think has intuition or spirituality played in your journey with your career now and discovering what's right for you? Does that play a role at all? Do
It
you?
does. It does. With the big questions and with the little questions that I have about business and life. But especially the big ones like, should I raise my rates? Should I relocate? The digital nomad visa was a big one because, the first time I lived in Spain, I went a different route. This time I went through the digital nomad visa, which was very challenging to get, mainly just because of all the hoops you have to jump through and the things you have to provide. But I really leaned into my intuition and spirituality for that and so many other things, but especially that's probably one of the most recent. And I do that through prayer. And so I literally just ask, like, I want to move to Spain again. I love it here. I love it there. That's where I want to raise my daughter. Is this a good idea? I just will state it like just a question, like to a friend. And I usually will hear a voice. And so the voice that I heard was like, yes. And I remember saying like, but the digital nomad visa, there's no way to know. And I had to physically move us here and risk that they would say no because they didn't have a process in Oklahoma at the time. So I had to come straight to Spain and hope that they would let us spend a gajillion dollars getting over here and hope that they would let us stay. But I just heard this voice that said, I will make a way for you. And that just kept showing up for me again and again and again. I will make a way for you. I will make a way for you. And I was like, but what are you saying? Like, what does this even mean? I'll make a way for you. And so then I just kind of trusted that I would be led to like the right people and the right instances that would collectively add up to me being able to get that visa. And that's what happened. I found a local lawyer and just started taking it step by step by step. And then like when I finally got the approval, I just like really leaned into that. And I was like, you were right. Like you made a way for me. It happened. But that's happened so many times. I mean, even when I leapt into writing, I was like, is this a good idea? Or having Rosie or just anything. I'm like, is this a good idea? So it definitely plays a huge, huge role. And there's always a little voice in there and it always is right, which is very comforting for me. It's just, we live in a world full of unknown things. So that's always been like my compass that has never failed me.
Aw, that's so beautiful.
Oh,
Thank
thanks.
you for sharing that.
Of course. Yeah. I know it's not necessarily like everyone's path, or I don't know how your audience feels about prayer and spirituality and intuition. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely always been a core thing for me.
Yes. It's definitely my path. Mama What's Next is really positioned at the intersection of, I'd say, career advice, career expert advice, and spirituality.
Oh, cool.
And I think for me, it was a long, long time until I think I've been spiritual for a long time, but I've been a closeted spiritual person. And just moving to Spain and really exploring more about myself and exploring different things and techniques, spiritual practices here in Spain has really like connected myself even deeper and just given me like what you talk about now, the faith and the trust in that voice, in that guidance. And it's only been a few months that I can actually openly, like I'm speaking, there's like a godlike connection that I have, voices that I hear, a calling that I have been asked to follow, like a path that I've been asked to follow, that I have been shown in different practices. And I just can't like ignore or like, I can't pretend that it's not like that anymore, because it's really what I believe. And that's why like I feel that path into spirituality has really given me so much, like faith, conviction, but also peace and groundedness. And the more I follow that path and the more I talk about it too, it really starts to pave the way for me. So yes, I think that's really, I think both, that really is connected for me. And I, by sharing stories like yours also, and what you've just explained, I hope that people find that connection, inside of themselves as well.
That's so beautiful. You make me want to cry. That's so sweet. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, because obviously, like, there are moments where you do put in a little bit more time and energy into a project, but there's also so much beauty in throwing your hands up and saying, I surrender. I did my part. Now you do the rest. Come on in. I believe it's going to work out. And it's, that because I love strategy. I love logic. I love methods and systems, but I also love surrender and trusting. That co-creation, that collaboration with God is just next level for me. And it helps, like you mentioned, with the peace. It helps me have so much peace. There's nothing really, I don't think there's anything, maybe nature would be the closest second thing that has made me feel that level of peace. But nature, I think, is like, a channel, to God. So it would make sense that nature would bring me so much peace.
Oh, it's such a beautiful conversation. Oh, I love it. I love talking to you about this. It really makes my heart just like, oh. And it's also like this is the interesting thing about the internet too, and about social media. It's like, there's just these little seconds when because I didn't intentionally search for you, right? You just popped up to me, and I don't do this every day either, that I just randomly message someone. It's not like I'm sitting here on Instagram going like, who are the 5 people I'm going to message today about an interview, right? And I didn't even know these things about you, right?
Oh, wow.
But it's like, it's an intuitive guidance, and it's like, these are the little messages you get, and it's like a message going like, this is the person, write to her, ask her. And then of course there are things like your path, and that you're teaching about writing, and that I want to showcase different career journeys and different paths and opportunities to working mothers. But at the same time, I feel I'm being more and more aligned with women that are like me, Isn't that just amazing?
It is incredible. Oh my gosh. Hearing you say that is blowing my mind, because, oh my gosh. So a couple months ago, I prayed and I said, I feel like engagement is wasting my time. I don't know if I should engage anymore on social media. And maybe I should just create my offers and my funnels and just let people come to me. And then I said, God, I'm going to start engaging for a while. And if this is something that would help me connect with others, let it happen. Like show me if this is something that is worth my time. And because I do really care about working on the right things and putting my, as moms, it's like, you have to make sure you're putting your time in the right areas. And wow, was I surprised and I also started engaging a bit differently, because before I was just like fire emoji, you go girl, which is fine. That's fine too. But now I'm like actually giving more little bits and pieces of my real self when I'm engaging. Like I'll say, oh, I totally relate to this too, mama. I went through this last Thursday when Rose did such and such or whatever. And within just a few weeks of engaging, I started getting DMs. You were one of them. I got a couple others. And they're like, hey, I saw you because you posted this on such and such profile. I really resonated with this. I would like to talk to you about that. And I'm like, okay, all right. So the prayer engagement worked. And I was
wow. Just wow, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. Because it could have easily not. And then I would have known, okay, maybe this isn't the right way to spend my time, but it's actually led to really beautiful conversations with aligned people. So that's super, super cool.
Yes. And it's like that real, it's not just a chat GPT that can be a co-creator. It's also God being your co-creator at the end of the day, right? And you're always having an open, feedback line, asking for advice. That's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Because, I also think like, I don't know if this is too morbid, but I also think like we kind of we are surrounded by people, but we kind of come and leave this world alone in a sense. Mm-hmm. And so I think like if I have God close to my heart, I'm never alone. Literally, it doesn't matter where I am or what happens. Even if I'm in a bad situation, I'm never alone. And that steadiness just really grounds me. Even if I'm in a bad situation, that steadiness, it just changes everything. It'll give me a clue. It'll tell me what path to take next. And yeah, the peace is just next level.
Yes. That made me really emotional, because that's, I think, exactly what I have found, I think, last year when I've had some, more difficult changes in my family setup and with my parents and in Germany. And I think exactly what you just said, like finding that path to God, to the universe, and having that connection for the first time, actually makes me feel not alone. Yeah. Makes me feel like I belong to a different place and a different something, it's hard to describe, but like in a way that I finally have that belonging, and I feel, so loved and guided.
Beautiful.
And I don't look for that anymore in other people. And since I have found that, it's like what you just said, I feel, it just gives you so much peace and love and just arriving, I feel.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Thank you so much for sharing this. Yeah, it's been
absolutely.
So beautiful. Yeah,
absolutely. I never know how much to share about this stuff because, everyone has their own beliefs and preferences. But it's beautiful to align in that way.
Yes. Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation just as much as I did. And here are some key points I want you to take away from today's conversation. Number 1, trust your inner knowing, your inner voice over any external security or opinion. Ioana bought a house when she was young and immediately felt that inner voice was telling her something important about her path that she should be following. Number 2, freedom requires courage, but it's worth it. Moving to Spain with just one suitcase each, plus their dog, seemed a little crazy at the time, but it opened up a completely different life for her family. Number 3, transition moments are opportunities. COVID and pregnancy could have been disasters, but Ioana used them as catalysts to build something better, to build something really amazing, and to create a completely new career out of it. Number 4, definitely start before you're ready. Because being ready, like I said in a previous episode, it's a trap. You just never, ever, ever, ever get there. She built her portfolio completely intuitively with her pregnant belly and no perfect plan, indeed. And did it work out? I think so. Number 5, focus on wins. Instead of cold pitching, she responded to existing job posts and landed clients within 2 weeks. So she didn't run around chasing clients that may or may not need work. She focused on companies that were actively looking for writers and for support and pitched them her freelance services. So this is not just another how I build my business story. This is really what happens when you choose freedom over fear and when you listen to that inner voice that knows that there's more for you. So if you ever felt trapped by your own safe life or wondered if it's possible to build real location independence as a mom, this episode is definitely for you. And if you're ready to explore freelance writing as a career path to freedom, make sure you connect with Ioana and learn more about her courses and coaching. All her contact information is in the show notes. Make sure you get in touch with her, follow her on Instagram, learn more, and it's all possible for all of us. We just need to say yes. Thank you so much for listening today. I will see you back here next week. Lots of love. Bye.
Stop the battle within your soul. You know it's all in your head. Being sad doesn't make you smart. It seems your heart just needs a fresh start.